Trump, he's not going down without a fight, and he's basically reverting right back to the 2016 playbook. Let's move on to the next one here, and let's put this up there on the screen. Trump will not commit to backing the GOP nominee in 2024. This was from an interview that he gave with radio host Hugh Hewitt. He said Hugh Hewitt asked him, will you support whoever wins the party's nomination? Trump announced, he said, quote, it would depend. It would have to depend on who the nominee was. Now, obviously, it's not a unprecedented situation, I would say, for Mr. Trump. It really is more of a return to probably one of the most iconic moments of the 2016 presidential primary, which it couldn't help remind me of. Let's take a listen and relive that.
Is there anyone on stage, and can I see hands, who is unwilling tonight to pledge your support to the eventual nominee of the Republican Party and pledge to not run an independent campaign against that person? Again, we're looking for you to raise your hand now. Raise your hand now if you won't make that pledge tonight. Mr. Trump.
I cannot say. I have to respect the person that if it's not me, the person that wins. If I do win and I'm leading by quite a bit, that's what I want to do. I can totally make that pledge. If I'm the nominee, I will pledge I will not run as an independent. But and I am discussing it with everybody. But I'm talking about a lot of leverage. We want to win, and we will win. But I want to win as the Republican. I want to run as the Republican nominee.
God, I feel like that was literally yesterday.
I know. Iconic.
If you bake it into the overall GOP primary and what that's all going to look like, we haven't even been on the air since this happened, but allegedly Nikki Haley is supposedly going to announce that she's going to run against Trump on February 15th. We'll see. I think she's a born loser candidate. We'll see how that exactly works out for her. But the real threat is going to be Ron DeSantis, of course, which we've been covering a lot. And even if DeSantis is not firing at Trump, Trump is just absolutely unloading on him any chance that he gets. Let's put this up there on the screen. This is my personal favorite also from the Hugh Hewitt interview. He said that DeSantis had tears in his eyes as he begged for an endorsement. Quote, he was dead. He was leaving the race. He came over and he begged me for an endorsement. He said, if you endorse me, I'll win. There were tears coming down from his eyes. And here's the thing.
Classic.
Trump is not wrong. DeSantis was down in the GOP presidential primary. I think I've told this story many times, but I interviewed Trump the day after the midterm elections in 2018, or maybe like 2 days after, something like that. And all he wanted to talk about was DeSantis. He was like, look at this guy. He's like, he gets nothing without me. He was down by this. He was up by 31 points when Trump endorses him, because it's all about Trump. And, that is kind of a potent attack that he has against DeSantis. DeSantis continues to deflect. Old friend Henry Rogers asked him a question about this over at the press conference down in Florida. And DeSantis was like, look, I'm getting firing from all sides and people are criticizing, but enough with the politics. We'll all just move on. And ultimately, that's up to the voters. And he talks about, again, his resounding win in the state of Florida, which is also going to be a very potent feather in his cap. But Ron DeSanctimonious attacks and all of that on Trump's truth have continued and continue up until this day, all throughout this, even when the man hasn't even announced he's running. With Nikki Haley, he also talked about her essentially branding her as disloyal. He was like, she said that she wouldn't run against me. I don't think that this woman has a chance in hell, but good luck, I guess. Enjoy the 1 day of good press that you're going to get.
He made some similar comments about Mike Pence, about how he made Mike and he was nothing before him, et cetera. Right. So, I mean, this is definitely Trump getting back into fighting form here, no doubt about it. I mean, the comments about him being unwilling to commit to backing the nominee in 2024, the GOP nominee in 2024, there's a few things to say about it. I mean, first of all, what a bind Republicans are in, because clearly the establishment of the party and a lot of other folks, in the party are ready to move on for Trump. They see Ron DeSantis as a better electoral prospect. They see him as just sort of like easier to deal with altogether. And so they would love to move on to Ron DeSantis or someone else. But you've got this threat out there there was a poll that was done by Bulwark, which is like an anti-Trump news website. They asked, okay, if you had Trump running as a third party and the Republican nominee, who would you back? 28% of Republican voters say they would back Trump if he ran as an independent. I mean, that's automatically handing the election to the Democrats. So in a way, even though they feel like, okay, if you just had DeSantis versus Biden or whoever the Democratic nominee is, that would be a stronger hand to play. It may actually end up being for them a much worse electoral prospect, especially because even if Trump doesn't mount an independent bid, I just cannot imagine him bending the knee, going around campaigning for Ron DeSantis, saying, this is my guy, we should get behind him. He won in fair and square, and he's the better man, and let's all get after it to beat the Democrats. I cannot see that ultimately happening. So this is kind of a disaster waiting to happen ultimately for the Republicans.
And why does that matter? Because in a GOP primary, for example, Brian Kemp, I believe he won his primary like 60-30 or something like that. Well, that matters whenever it's head-to-head and then you eventually become the nominee. But in a general election, if you get people to not, if you get, let's say, 1/3 of people not to vote for you, well, if 1/3 of Republicans don't vote, we all know how that works. George H.W. Bush, till his dying day, believed that Ross Perot is the one who cost him the election by splitting the vote. People forget, I think Bill Clinton only won like 43% of the popular vote whenever he was elected the president, but because of the way Electoral College and Ross Perot on the ballot in many of these states, H.W. maintained for a long time that it was Ross Perot's fault. I think it was George H.W. Bush's fault for not appealing to those people, but hey, the point is that when you have a third-party candidate on the ballot, of course, it can screw things up. The Gore people always blamed Ralph Nader as if it's his fault that Gore ran a bad campaign. For me, more the merrier. I guess whenever it comes at the end of the day, it's just about winning people's votes over, but it shows the danger that Trump could pose to a hypothetical DeSantis candidacy in the event that a bruised DeSantis does actually emerge victorious from the primary. We'll see.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.